As various protocols have been observed, let me just take this opportunity to appreciate those who are here and who have been critical in this whole process, starting with our peers, Dr. Salome. Thank you for taking your time this morning to come and be with us and addressing the issues that have actually come up from the survey and the study. I was very happy to hear that quite a number of the significant issues raised are already being taken care of. That's very encouraging, and we are glad that that is happening. I also want to thank our Commissioner General. I was going to say CS. Maybe that's a prophecy. Who knows? It would be the next stage. Commissioner General, thank you, Bwana Patrick, for being with us here and also giving us insight into what is happening behind the walls. Thank you also, our CEO, for your comments, and of course, our supporter, Charity. You have been a constant in our activities of this nature, and we want to say thank you to the UNODC for the work that you do in partnership with EACC and other organizations within the country to make our nation a better place to live in. And all of us who are here this morning, our commissioners, our directors, and all those people from different departments of our nation, and of course our media for amplifying this so that the nation may also hear what is happening. Thank you for being with us. It is really a great pleasure for me to be part of this program this morning because this is like, I was telling the CS and Commissioner General, and not CS, PS and the Commissioner General, that this is like a medical checkup. Some of us were courageous enough to go to the doctor and just say, I want a full checkup. Many of us are not courageous enough because you don't want to know what is going on in your life, and what you don't know doesn't affect you. That's what they say, except you drop dead and people say after a short illness. The illness may have been there for a very long time. It's just that you didn't know. So undertaking this kind of a review is like a medical checkup, and we are glad that the prison service actually agreed to undertake this medical checkup, and the report has been given to us in fair details, pointing out 80-something areas that needed attention, but as we have heard from the peers, several of these are already being addressed. We appreciate the partnership of the European Union and the Office of the UNODC for facilitating this exercise. It really shows that you are firm in helping us to fight corruption in a multidimensional approach, which is part of our mandate as a commission. We have witnessed the presentation of key recommendations arising out of the risk assessment, and we believe that if all of them are implemented, including those that are already done and those that are still pending, we would have a better correctional services for our people when they find themselves in these kinds of situations. I remember when Honorable Moody Awori was our vice president, he took radical reforms, some of which people are beginning to feel the prisons are going to be better than those of us who are living outside here. But it brought great improvement and a different perspective to what prison is all about. As a person who has worked for a long time within the church sector, I can tell you that in the Bible, there was prison. but it was called City of Refuge. There were cities of refuge. There were actually cities that were built in every, within a distance where a person could run. People went there by themselves, not by court orders. Once you have done something that required you to be killed, because there were many that carried capital punishment, and you would run to those cities of refuge, and you stay there until the high priest dies. So depending on how close this high priest dies, you could stay there for 1 day, you could stay there for 50 years, depending on how young they were. But there were actually cities. Inside there, people lived their normal lives. They continued with their livelihoods and other people who are living within. So it was not the kind of prisons that we have today, where the dignity of human beings are really, really brought down. So we want to trust that some of the reforms that we are undertaking will bring us to that place where we can make our correctional services truly correctional, and people coming out will not come out as hardcore criminals, but as people who have been transformed and are ready to reintegrate into society and be better members of society. As the Kenya Prison Service embarks on this journey, therefore, of reform, we want to ensure that you establish a strong foundation for sustainable corruption prevention. That is our particular interest as EACC. In accordance with the Anti-Bribery Act, Chapter 79, Part B, all public institutions are legally obligated to establish and implement effective corruption prevention measures. And as had been pointed out in the report, this is something that needs to be worked on, because we believe that by embracing the findings of these recommendations and establishing that kind of a system within the Kenya Prison Service, we will also be contributing to the reduction of corruption within our country. As has already been mentioned, today is Nelson Mandela Day. It's a day when the world celebrates one of the prisoners who stayed in prison for a very, very long time. And coming out of that to be a legend, not just in his country, but globally respected. It shows us that you don't have to be a criminal to find yourself behind bars. You could find yourself there for one reason or another. And if you are given opportunity and you are given proper service and justice, you may find that you actually come out to be a leader in society. And so upholding human dignity is a critical thing. Last week, we gathered together to celebrate the Africa Anti-Corruption Day. And our theme then was promoting human dignity in the fight against corruption. The aspect of human dignity is key, not only in law enforcement, but in rehabilitation. The truth is that those who will leave a lasting legacy and are celebrated like Nelson Mandela are those who have treated others with grace and with dignity. You will never enter the hall of fame for dehumanizing others, as we unfortunately have been seeing in our country in the recent past. Likewise, you will never be celebrated for stealing public resources to enrich yourself at the expense of fellow human beings. And so we want to call upon Kenyans to remember that life goes in a circle. Today, you are in power. Today, you are taking charge of different kinds of government entities. Tomorrow, you may find yourself as an ordinary citizen who suffers from the very networks and the very things that you set up or things that you created and now are coming back to haunt you or to put you in a place where you do not like. Always remember that whatever you do can come around to you. So do good when you can. Treat people with dignity, with respect, irrespective of what they have done. Particularly for our young people. Let's treat them with dignity. Some of them don't even know what they are doing. So when they end up in prison, let's handle them well as our children and let them grow up to be men and women who can make a difference in our society. It is paramount that we have human rights-based approach in reforming our prisons, and we call upon all those who are involved to incorporate the values espoused in our Constitution. I want to remind us that the fight against corruption is far from over. In fact, where we sit, it seems that the more we fight, the higher it gets. But we are not going to be discouraged. Every day we get reports that sometimes are very discouraging. But we want to assure Kenyans that as a commission, we are not going to give up. We are going to continue in this journey, and we want to enlist the support of all members of our society to do whatever you can, wherever you are, to deal with any incidents of corruption that you may encounter, whether big or small, so that we can build a society where everybody can go about their duties, their responsibilities, without any challenges. If we continue to put holes in our ship, when it sinks, it will sink with all of us. So there is no hole that is small. There is no hole that is big. It will eventually sink our ship. And I want to call upon all of us. If you see one, the best thing you can do is to close it. I don't know whether some of you may remember the story of the Spartan boy who put his finger because there was a hole in the dike and water was coming in, and it was winter. But they put his finger to block that hole, and it saved the nation because he sacrificed his life for the sake of the many. Let us put our fingers in every hole that we find, whether it is in the prison service or any other place, so that we can save the many. Your commitment to upholding integrity, accountability, and transparency is essential for building a just and trustworthy nation. Let me just say and thank you for the commitment that you have made. As I said, this is a medical report. What will matter is what you do with it after this. Some of us go to the doctor and you get your report. You are told your sugar levels are high. Reduce your intake of sugar. And then you come from there, you go to a party and you are eating all the cakes that are available, because you are thinking, hey, I can't forgo my cake and my bottle. And before you know it, your sugar levels have gone beyond management, and it brings you down. So I pray that we will reduce our sugar levels, our sugar intake, and all those things that the report told us, so that we can have a very healthy prison service. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen.